Hi guys, welcome back to D's African Perspective. Thank you all for stopping by. The video we're going to be checking out today is a video of a girl who they were just asking her why she wasn't working, why is she not going above and beyond at her workplace, and she was just explaining, saying like, I'm not going to do that. I'm only going to go to work and do what I was paid to do, like what I'm getting paid to do at work, and if I'm asked to do anything extra that is more than that, I'm not going to do it. And they're like, hey, like, how are you going to get promoted? Basically, the video we're going to be checking out how a lot of people these days are actually having the mindset that, hey, especially Gen Zs, like, we're not going to be going above and beyond at the workplace because we are not getting what we were told that we would get if we do more than usual. Whoever like puts in so much effort at the workplace is going to get favored, it's going to get promoted, it's going to get more money, it's going to get a lot of favors for doing so much. But now people have just understood that, hey, like, you ain't getting nothing. All you're gonna get is more work on your own self. But before we get right into this video, I want to give a big shout out to Fab Chick Mothers for $10 super thanks. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Please make sure you click the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Clicking the like button really helps with the algorithm, and I appreciate that so much. Let's get right.
I don't think anybody would be okay with getting paid for the job of one and they're doing the job of three people. I just seen this clip on Dr. Phil. Basically, a woman was saying that she doesn't go above and beyond at work because she is not going to burn herself out. They had someone on there commentating against her, basically saying that because she does not want to put herself in that position and she doesn't want to go above and beyond, that she wants to succeed. Because companies like when you work hard and they reward you for that hard work. And that mindset is the exact reason why retirement is going from 65 to 70, because people don't set hard boundaries and people want to keep working hard to prove they're good workers or to try to get a promotion or raise. These companies are not going to pay you more just because you're working harder. If they wanted to pay you more, they would. Now, do I understand teamwork and, as long as the job gets done? Yes. But if a company is continuously asking you to do things that are outside of your realm, maybe they need to hire someone that actually specializes in doing that, because that's going to be taken away from your own responsibilities. And so it just is so unnecessary. But yet older generations really feel like that is still tried and true, and it's not getting us nowhere.
So I just saw this thing on Dr. Phil. I don't know how old this episode is. It's probably recent. But about a woman who just says, when I go to work, I do the job that I got hired for, and then I go home. If they ask me to do more, I say no. And some people are calling her lazy and entitled when it's like, no, she's there to do her job. Like, the fact that so many people think like, oh, I'm going to ask you to do this, I'm going to ask you to do that, I'm going to ask you to do extra. And then if you be like, oh, well, can I get a raise? Like, you're asking me to do more work, so can I get a raise? Oh, no, we're all just team players here. We're all just friends. We're all family. We just help each other out. And it's like, no, this is not helping out. I have bills to pay. I have a life to lead outside of here. And you asking me to stay later, you asking me to do things that I'm not even qualified for is ridiculous. So I don't blame her, because when people be like, oh, can you do this? No. What you mean no? Exactly that. No's a full sentence. Until I see more zeros on my paycheck, I am not doing anything else for you. And the fact that people were trying to say that she's lazy, I'm like, that is not lazy. That is doing your job. As someone who has gone above and beyond for jobs, has done a really good job, always showed up, always was willing to do any and everything to help everyone. The day you're having a bad day or you're just realizing how BS the whole situation is and you decide to like pull back, that's when they realize, and they were like, oh, you're so lazy. You used to be so good at your job. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? It's like, you got off on taking advantage of me. And once I realized that and I stopped, now I'm the bad guy while you let other people barely do the bare minimum. Like, I don't get it why people think they're entitled to your time. Like, no, you want your employees to stay. You want your turnover rate to be lower. Pay people what they're worth and stop trying to get away with being like, oh, well, it's a family environment. Please.
How on earth am I supposed to come and take a job and then I'll be working my particular position that you're paying me for, and you want me to actually be doing something that is totally different? You want me to combine other people's job positions that you're supposed to go and hire others to be doing, so you pay them, but because of your greed you don't want to pay those people, and you want me to be the one who is getting paid a one-person salary, and at the same time I should go and also be doing other people's job that you could have hired them to do. And then a lot of people are out here looking for jobs, but you don't want to hire them. And I'm telling you, this same thing is happening in so many places right now. A lot of people are taking in so many jobs, workloads that are meant for others to do, but they don't want to hire.
I feel like corporate America tries to make it seem like their company is just full of thought leaders and geniuses, and you have to do so many interviews to get in.
She pointed out something really funny, actually, because the system of capitalism we have going on in these big, like, elitist corporate offices right now is kind of ironic. Because essentially they build this whole facade to convince people of mid-tier intelligence that they're super important and happy at the company so that they don't leave or ask for any more. As someone who's kind of worked in both HR and marketing, I've seen both sides of the coin here. When you work in marketing, like, half of your job is going after, like, fake made-up accolades to make everyone seem really important and really happy, and boosting everyone's ego to make them think they're really important at the company and they want to stay. And when you work in HR, for lack of a better way to phrase it, you specifically look for people who are easily brainwashed into believing that they're super important at the company. And as someone who used to be in a sorority, which we don't talk about it, but it set me up perfectly to be in both these roles where you create these big fake facades for the companies. But I also got to work internally with a lot of the employees, and let me tell you, some of the very concerning people. Like, I was in charge of managing the website and uploading things that were given to me. I was not in charge of this, but I had to essentially go through and edit and fix everything that was given to me because they couldn't write. Like, so many of the employees that had master's degrees at that company wrote at, like, a 5th grade level and didn't know there from there. And then they will try and talk down to you because they're older than you and they think they know more and they're better than you. And you'll be like, okay, let's break out the ACT English section right now. Let's settle this here, Cheryl. One of the things I noticed right away at one of the particularly terrible companies I worked at is that a very specific hiring tactic they use is they would hire people who are super young, early 20s, or like just out of college. So this was probably one of their first jobs. So they didn't know any better. They didn't know how to ask for things. They didn't know that the company was treating them terribly. And anytime there was a complaint, they'd throw a very like menial little compromisable like, oh, half day, or here's a free shirt. And that was done very intentionally. But another thing that this company would do is they would have us spend so much time trying to like promote going after like these fake made up awards, right? Like best whatever in the state, this, what, and that, so that they could tell the employees like, you work at the best whatever, you do this, you do that. And another thing we would come up with is a lot of like fake employee prizes, titles, whatever of the week to make them think they were doing like super well. And anytime an employee complained or had any issues with this or noticed it, right, which is totally valid, I was always on their side, they would be marked as a problem. It would be noted, and then they would slowly try and ice them legally out of the company in the way that large companies do. Because also, of course, they didn't want to pay any severance. But the funny thing is it worked on a lot of the employees. It really went straight to their head. Like, they thought they were so cool. And I was like, okay, Terry, you're also the same person who doesn't know how to download a PDF from an email, and we had to send someone into your office to help do it for you, okay? You wouldn't make it through college again in the modern day. Like, dude, I got an email from you last week in 20-point font, and somehow you spelled your 3 different ways, and it was still wrong every time. I think the funniest part is that then there were so many menial errors happening in the company that we never even ended up getting like a ton of work done. Or at least not as much as you would hope would happen in a corporate day. Because they would rather their employees be like stupid and sane than like productive with freedom and intelligent. So yeah, a lot of these jobs will intentionally make you go through like 4 or 5 rounds of interviewing, and a logical, regular person would be like, that's a ridiculous amount. Like, this is foreshadowing for how difficult this company is about to be. But someone whose ego is easily inflated is going to be really excited and feel super special by the fact that they made it through all of those interviews. There was even one time in the marketing department where we did need to hire someone new because we had a lot of work. We were getting swamped. But then I think my boss saw that it looked good to the CEO that we were like really productive and growing. So she kept hiring people. We didn't have that much work though for everyone. So we'd start like running out of work to do and I'll just be like sitting around. We were bringing in games to do. Someone started like a Minecraft server with a couple of the other people. I just started working on my portfolio to apply to other jobs because I was starting to lose my mind. Like, it got out of hand so fast.
This whole thing about career advancement, oh, you're gonna get advanced if you do so much. People who have worked so hard, I'm telling you, there's a lot of people who actually have testimonies as to them doing so much and putting so much into these corporations, putting so much into work, that are in their late 40s, late 50s, late 60s, who have opened their mouth and said, hey, like, I did all that, and at the end of the day, it didn't get me nowhere. And what it did to me was even made them actually have high expectations for me, still paying me the same amount, but expecting me to do more work and give me so much workload. And then the people who just do not even just do the bare minimum, the very little effort type of work, are the ones who are just living happily. To be honest, most times what will even get you promoted at a workplace is you getting favor by the person who has the capacity or the power to actually promote you. That means you are well favored in their eyes. They like you. You might not even be doing like so much work or anything, but they just like you. It's just a matter of sometimes, like a lot of people, what have gotten them favor in some places, be it promotion and other things. I'm not saying it's for all, but sometimes it's not even people's hard work. It's just the fact that this person, you just find favor in that person's eyes. Like they just like you, and they just, maybe you talk to them, how you talk to them is what they like. Just could be some certain little stuff, and it's not like you just diving deep and doing some work or finishing your job, your work on time before they even asked you for it, and then giving you more stuff to do. Sometimes, in most cases, it's not that. Sometimes some people, the reason why they got promoted is because they are cutthroat. They've actually went and told on other people to get highly favored. They've been snitches. They've been so many things. So there are just many reasons as to why some people are getting promoted.
Going down the corporate ladder. So this video by Aaron has stitches turned off, and so I had to green screen, but I'll link him below, guys. Aaron made this video that is really upsetting a lot of people, especially from the boomer generation. Now, Aaron is Generation Z, and he says in his video that essentially he doesn't want to be promoted. He's not looking to be the manager up the next role that he's in, and if he can take less responsibility and still make about the same amount of money, he will. And this is a very prevalent attitude for people in the millennium and the Generation Z generations, and older people don't really understand why this is going on. So as someone that's a Gen X myself, I'm 45 years old, I'm gonna try to lay this out for people from different generations to understand. So from Aaron's point of view, he's saying, listen, I like my work-life balance. I want to be able to go get my 8 hours in every day, have enough money to live, and I don't want the excess responsibility, and I don't value work as the number one priority in my life. Like, I go to work to have enough money to live, and that doesn't make sense to a lot of other people that are from a different generation. So if you're from the boomer generation or even the Gen X generation, you're going to look at this and go, why wouldn't you want to make as much as possible so you can move up, and then that gives you a new title, and then move up into the next job, etc. at all? The people that are in the younger generation right now, we have to understand, are dealing with a completely different economy and a completely different scale of life than we could when we were younger. I'll give you an example. So myself, I bought a $75,000 house. This is in South Dakota, so that's a low housing market. When I was 19 years old, I made $28,000 a year. And so that was affordable and doable. It was a little 2-bedroom, 2-bath house with a finished basement. And, my young family, my kids were born there, my first 2 kids that are older now. And I got to tell you guys, that was entirely doable back then on one income. And if you're from Aaron's generation and you ask yourself, if you can make $5,000 or $10,000 more and get to be a manager in the next level up, why wouldn't they want to do that? Well, that's not going to be enough for them to buy a house. It's not going to be enough for them to make any kind of a dent in their student debt. It's not going to push the needle for them in any way. And the reason that that's significant is that for us, any extra dollar was a big deal. But because the scale is so much greater for cost of living now for them, it's not the same register that we were even on. In addition to that, there's a lot of other factors for young people that make life a lot different than it was for us. The first thing is that most people, the average age of having a child now is 27. So it's going up every year, and the birth rate is going down every year. People can't afford to have kids. They can't afford to buy houses, and they can't afford to pay off their debt, especially student debt right now. So in that kind of a scenario, making $5,000 or $10,000 more is not going to be a huge boon to them. And they're looking around going, okay, So if I can make a little bit more money and then have to deal with schedules and stress and people's payroll and people's complaints about each other, rather than just go into work and go home and then be able to hang out with my friends or enjoy my family or do what we want. Because let's also be honest, most of these, I'll call them kids, but Gen Z are still living at home. And you can't blame them because it's hardly affordable for the rest of us to be able to live. So it gets to a weird point here where it's a cost benefit analysis that this generation is making, and I honestly don't blame them. This is really hard for me as somebody that's been in HR for most of my career, guys, because I've done a lot of executive and employee and management coaching. And when somebody would come into my office and they'd say, hey, Matt, I'd really like, to be able to figure out how I could move up in my career and all that type of stuff, I would really jump right in with that person. I would devote my time. I would devote my resources. I would make suggestions to them on things that they could read. I would go all in. And then sometimes the people were, doing great in their career. And I've talked to a lot of those people throughout my career and still friends and colleagues with them. And then a lot of other times, the people would just drop off, or they'd get to one little level, one little step of what they were doing, and they wouldn't want to improve. And that was maddening to me. I came from the generation thought, you better take every promotional opportunity, work every extra hour, make as much money, take on as much responsibility as possible. And to see this now didn't make any sense to me, but I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to get it as somebody in their 40s, seeing this with my own older kids and going, I really see why people turn down promotions and opportunities to move up now, especially for the boomer generation. This is very difficult for them to grasp because it's so different from the way that they grew up. And for my kids, what do I want for my kids? I want them to be able to do what they want and be able to make a good living at it. And I want them to be happy. And if that means that they're going to work an 8 and that they're good with that and they're done, that's fine. Or if it means that they find a job that they're really devoted to and they want to spend a lot of time at, it's fine. But I think that us older generations, myself included, need to understand that they're not working off the same playbook that we had. So ultimately, where is this going to lead? Is it going to lead to a place where a lot of kids now live with their parents until they're 30? How far is that going to get pushed? Is that going to get pushed to 35, 40? Basically, they'll only be able to move out when they get married. That's already in a lot of, particularly Latin cultures, the way that they do it. And in the culture that I grew up in, at 18, you were expected to either go to college or you're expected to move out, get a job, take care of yourself. But you weren't going to sit around the house. And I'm not saying that this generation or Aaron is sitting around the house, but I can't imagine how a kid can move out and live on their own now. So I don't blame them for this mindset. And I think that the move away from colleges for people in this generation, because of the debt that it creates, and people going to trade school or people going into either tech or creative jobs in which they don't come out with the type of $60,000 to $100,000 debt that people in my generation did, is not the worst thing in the world. So I think we're going to see college rates decrease. And I think we're going to see more people go into certification programs like the Google certifications, go into trade schools, because a lot of people that go to trade schools now are making $100,000, $150,000 with union job and union benefits. So there's real, benefits to our young people to be able to push them towards those types of careers if they're interested. But what are you guys' thoughts on this? Do you think that people in this generation are lazy, or can you understand why they're feeling like they don't want to climb the corporate ladder anymore? They just want to be able to work a job that pays enough to be able to live. Are they shooting themselves kind of in the foot with that thought process? Let me know what you think.
I've spent my time at a company where I was working so hard. I kept trying to be so diligent, trying to make sure that, I do everything to make sure that I'm noticed, because I was told that I was going to get promoted in just 1 year. Like if I stay there and just keep working hard. And I did all of that just to see that somebody who had less certification than me, less experience than me, just came up and they promoted the person higher above me, just randomly. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I spent so much time making sure that I tried to prove to you all that I'm good enough, that I'm worthy, and all you're just gonna do is literally just bypass me like that. And I kept asking, just get shoved away. Now, this is not to say you shouldn't work hard at your workplace or where they're paying you, because I mean, that's where you're getting money to pay your bills. That's where you're getting money to survive on a day-to-day basis. Of course, whatever is worth doing is worth doing well. But at the same time, I'm just like, based on all these videos that you guys have seen, to be honest, like, just do what you are paid to do. And they are just, sometimes when you're taking extra burdens or extra things that you're not getting paid for, it's just like literally stressing yourself and straining your own self so much, to the extent where at the end of the day you might not even get rewarded for it. And I know most times when you're doing something, it's not everything that we do that we need to like focus on, oh, am I gonna get reward or not. But if you really enjoy doing it and it's something that you love doing, because we all have different personalities, we all have different things we love doing. Some people love being like helping hands, some people love having so much activities to do. So if it's something that you enjoy and you love your career, you love everything pertaining that, just do it. Like, don't let anybody change you, or just because people are saying, oh, don't do it, means you shouldn't do it. You should do it. But at the same time, if you're also somebody who just like just you just want to do your job, and that's just it, do your job, and that's it. If someone tells you to do more than you were paid to do, then don't do it. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching this video to the very end. Don't forget to please click the like button like I said in the beginning, and subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you're watching me for the very first time. Hit the notification bell to get notified every time I post a new video. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.